Hey everyone.
Happy Friday.
Yes, welcome. Happy Friday. Welcome to Mama's Beyond the Matrix. My name is Kelly.
I'm Jay.
And we are here to talk about relocating abroad as a family. We are right now in Medellín Colombia, but we have lived in other countries. We're going to be talking about our experience. And today's topic is all about our daily lives. Like, what does a real day in life in Medellín, Colombia look like for a family? Mm-hmm. Yes. So most people think that when you move abroad, it's like you're on a permanent vacation. And that's not reality. That's not the truth. Reality hits. Everyday life hits.
Real life hits.
So let's talk about it and just share from our perspective and our experiences. And we do have some notes. So if you see me kind of lean forward or do anything, that's what I'm doing. But most people, they wake up, especially in the States. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about life in the States. Let's just say that from that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Wake up, still tired. Mm-hmm. Got to take care of your responsibilities immediately. Mm-hmm. Usually you're woken up by an alarm clock, got to get up.
Or your little ones.
Or your little ones, right. Kids need your attention. They got to get ready to get to wherever they're going to. If they're at school, you still have errands to run, work to do, figuring out any issues that come up in life. And that's just like what's normal. What is typically normal if you have time, you hang out with friends and family. If you have time, and I know back in the States, I didn't really hang out with friends and family because it was like I'm busy or I'm tired.
I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this.
And if I'm not doing that, I'm tired. And I just want to be in my house being at peace.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because I'm so busy doing this, and that. Moving here to Medellin with the kids.
Yes, that's what we're talking about.
Has definitely changed. Go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say it's changed, and we're talking about moving to another country. What the reality is like. What's the daily life like? What are the stressor points? What are the peaceful points? What are the daily routines like? We're talking about also the happiness for us as adults, as parents, the happiness for the children, because it can vary especially depending on the age of your children. We're also talking about finances. We're talking about what it is just really like on a day-to-day basis to live in another country, but specifically here in Medellin.
Yes. So you want to go ahead and kind of pop it off or start it off, or you want me to
Yeah, sure.
Hold. Wait a minute, y'all. We gotta get our notes together. Jonna just messed up our notes.
I messed it up. Sorry. My bad. Did I do that? It was me.
Okay, hold on. Let's get back to the notes. All right, because I want to make sure we stay on track. So we talked. Okay, so we went over what we're going to be talking about. You just talked about that.
Yes.
Before we start, I just want to. It doesn't matter. But we are going to be sharing like some emotional changes that we've gone through.
Yes.
And with this experience that you may have gone through or may go through, if you decide to move abroad, things that we just didn't expect.
Yeah. Some of the good, some of the bad, some of the not so good that people don't talk about. You see life abroad, you see the views, you see the water, you see the people having fun, you see the content creators, the family content creators, and what that looks like. And it looks all bliss and joy. And there are some content creators that give you the behind the scenes and what have you. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Everything is not all glitz and glam. And the perception of living abroad isn't always what people may think it is. It is very beautiful, but there are some struggles that families and individuals go through living abroad that maybe you haven't thought about, maybe you haven't quite considered it. It's a perfect time to think about it and consider these things before actually taking that jump to move abroad. Or maybe you are a family and you live abroad already and you can resonate with some of these things like, man, I've experienced that, or maybe I haven't quite experienced that yet. I'm new on this journey. But just have your ears and eyes open to possibilities of different shifts mentally, physically, emotionally that can happen when you move abroad.
Definitely. So I'm going to stay on the topic of being in the U.S. or even Canada, because I feel like it applies to probably both countries, right? So as a parent in the United States, I kind of just went over some of the things, but I remember being exhausted, not even really realizing. I guess I knew why I was exhausted, but it was normal. Like, that's just what all mothers have to do. We have to work, we clean the house, we take care of the kids. Like, we do a lot of things. Not to say that our men don't help. However, we take on a bulk of that. So I remember feeling extremely exhausted. Financially, it was a struggle a little bit sometimes, because when and we all know this, you are paying your bills, then you got kids' activities, and those activities need uniforms and this and that, and then you want to go on a trip or a vacation because you want your kids to experience something, or you want them to have activities, and
like, that's another element to that too.
Yeah, everything just kind of adds up. We're not even talking about your normal expenses like your cars, whatever. It all just adds up. Everything has a price tag to it, right? So I just remember, like, oh my gosh, another thing I gotta pay for, another thing I gotta do or figure out or whatever. Overstimulated.
Oof, yes.
Overstimulation. I did not realize how overstimulated I would be sometimes until I was able to kind of slow down.
Yes.
Because again, it goes back to, this is normal. Everybody has to do this. When you're raising a family, everybody is doing it. So you don't think anything different of it until you experience something different. And then you're like, oh, well, this is what people do in other countries. And okay, this is better. Like, I like this lifestyle. Right. Being disconnected from friends and family, losing that connection because I'm so busy dealing with my own family, personal, family unit, that I don't have time to spend with my friends or extensions of my family like I used to, because I'm busy or tired. Emotionally drained was another one. I can tell you. I could say that's probably in a lot of people now anyway, because of everything that's happening. But I mean, even before then, just handling everything and getting emotionally drained. That's a whole nother story. And then survival mode.
Yes.
Survival mode was another thing that I had experienced. So, it was challenging, but again, it didn't feel as challenging, or I didn't know, I guess. It was as challenging as it was until I experienced a softer life. That's exactly. And I didn't, that just came up, like, this is a softer life.
It is. And I'm actually excited about the conversation today, because there's going to be some polarity, some opposites going on here, because you can speak from the point of parenting in the United States and parenting outside of the country. I've only parented outside of the country.
Oh yeah.
So it's going to be interesting, because I'm really interested to hear the difference.
But I don't know if it'll be a little bit of a difference. However, you've never really had like a full-time or really part-time nanny, have you?
Back in the States?
No, in Mexico or here in Colombia. I know you have a nanny that comes now and then. So you're still doing a lot. You and your husband are still doing a lot for the household. That's why I was like, I don't know how much of a difference. It'll be a little bit of a difference because we're just in a different environment. But you haven't truly experienced the full effect of having somebody like a nanny to come in and clean the house
full time,
or even part time. Mine is just part time, but she still cleans. Does all of the things that I don't have to worry about, right? And it takes a lot off of me. So we're gonna have two different perspectives a little bit, which is good. You get a variety, right? But I know you guys out there, you're still dealing with those long commutes to work. If you are having to go into work, which a lot of people had to go back into the office, constant financial pressures, lack of family time,
meeting deadlines,
high stress environments. We know that that's happening at this time.
Cost of living going up.
Cost of living going up.
Inflation with everything. And it causes a lot of stressors just on a day-to-day being back home and just living in your natural life. And some of those things can even impact us here, especially when we talk about the dollar and the conversion of the dollar, especially if you are an expat or a nomad and you're living abroad and you're used to making American money, and how that impacts us when the value of the dollar goes down, because that means your money doesn't stretch as far. So all of these things that a lot or most of these things that still impact us in the United States can still impact you outside of the states, no matter where you live, just depending on how you allow it to.
Yeah. And I know right now it's spring in the States, and in Canada
summer is approaching.
So you guys don't have to deal with that cold weather, but when that cold weather comes back around, if you're in those states that get cold, that's a bummer. I know every winter, and I don't like being cold at all, but in the winter time, oh my gosh, I remember the depression that would come sometimes, just that slight little okay, we can't go outside, another snowstorm, another ice storm, or I just don't want to go because it's too cold. I don't feel like it. Like your body does not want to move when it's cold, right? So
even physiologically, it gets stiff. And
yes. I remember aches and pains and what is going on? I haven't done anything to injure myself. It was just no, it's wet outside and it's cold outside, and you feel your body is reacting this way, So tell me, you guys, what your life is feeling like right now emotionally. And before you even relocate, tap into yourself and think about how are you really feeling, and how are you really dealing with life? How are you surviving? And do you want to survive? And instead, do you want to really truly live? What do you really want for yourself and your family? That's something you have to ask yourself. But we are going to go over some of the differences and things that have changed in our lives since we have moved abroad. Okay. So I know some of the comments, and I'm looking at my notes here, that people may have is moving abroad is the magic fix, and it'll fix every problem. No.
You cannot run from yourself.
You cannot run
from yourself. There's a saying, I think it's be where you are, because no matter where you go physically, mentally, if you're someplace else, or mentally, if you're dealing with something, you may have a temporary relief, but until you get to the root of what it is that you're going through, no matter where you go, it's not going to fix all of your problems.
No.
It's not. No. So you definitely have to make sure that you're doing the inner work, you're centering yourself, you're figuring out in your body how certain places make you feel, how certain situations, how certain people make you feel. Because even with that, some things may trigger you, and some places just may not be suitable for you. Even though you desire to move abroad, you need to know what places are good for you. Kelly, you were just talking about the snow, and in the wintertime, I find a lot of retirees and a lot of people who are used to the snow, either in New York, either Chicago area, Colorado area, especially when they retire, a lot of people find themselves in tropical places because they just can't deal with the snow anymore.
Their body
physically can't handle it. So if you know that physiologically your body can't handle certain temperatures, then you should know where to go. I'm the type of person, extreme heat zaps all of the energy out of me. And I lived in a country where it was extremely hot, and I loved it. It was tropical weather, but the heat itself just zapped all the energy out of me. So although I like the tropical weather, that's why a lot of people choose to come here, because the weather is so rich and it's so mellow all year round. And by mellow I mean they call it eternal spring in Medellin because it is spring year round. The temperatures are like spring year round. So for a lot of reasons, some people may choose a place like this.
And not only the mental and physical part you need to kind of work out before you move abroad, any other issues that you may be having, whether that's financial, whether that's business, any other issues that's going on is not going to disappear because you left and relocated. It's going to become more difficult because you cannot easily handle those things like you could if you were in the States. So for example, I'm into real estate. So I have rental properties, and sometimes things happen, right? And there may be something that I could have easily repaired myself. Like,
oh
or I
yes.
just went over there and
Pick
did
up the
something
phone.
simple.
Yep.
I could have done it myself. However, since I'm now out the country, I have to rely on other people to do things for me when issues come up. And that also comes with a price tag, because people aren't doing stuff for free. A lot of times, unless it's a close friend, but even if you ask too many times, I feel guilty, like, I need to pay you something, because you're spending your time, energy, gas, all of the things to go solve this problem for me, when I could have solved it for myself if I was in the country.
Yeah.
So you got to think about those things as well. It's not going to be a perfect world when you leave the country.
Yeah. Having those puzzle pieces set in place before you leave, especially if you have real estate, or especially if you have anything, properties, vehicles, anything that needs to be tended to every once in a while, having the proper people in place to help you with that, project managers, property managers, whatever you need to have is going to be really, really important.
And things just as simple as your mail. Like,
oh yes,
you may have to have a mail carrier or mail service that collects your mail for you, and you can scan it and send it you an image of it. Or you may have to have a friend or family member
pick up your mail,
or either just have your mail sent to their house and they just hold it for you. Like, those little things people don't normally kind of think about, but those are things you need, that's important.
And I do all three. I do all three. I have a P.O. box back home. I have someone who collects my personal mail, and I also have the electronic mail, so I can see what's coming in. So the person who collects my personal mail, I can let them know, oh, open this piece of mail for me, open this piece of mail if it's something really important that I need, and scan it over to me and what have you, or shred it, whatever needs to be done. But you got to have like key players to be able to do that. You could get I think an international a digital mailbox. There's ways to do that too. I mean, like, in the current country, there's ways to do that. I don't know too much about that. I know who does know about that, but there's ways to do it. And so making sure that all of that is set up before you leave is going to be really important. I don't think people think about all of these things before they leave. And I know we have a resource that will help you think about and check off, okay, have I thought about that? Have I thought about that before loading my family onto this plane, onto this boat, wherever you're going to go? Have I checked off the things that I need to have done before relocating my entire family? We'll talk about that a little later.
Yeah. Or do you have people in place if you didn't get it done?
Right. Right. That can help you with that.
That can help you. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So let's get into our day-to-day. Let's get into what does it look like on a day-to-day basis living outside of the country. And Kelly opened us up really nicely with talking about what our day-to-day is like in the U.S. And it's the same thing. It's very similar. If you have a routine, if you have a guideline that you go by, it's more than likely going to be very similar when you're out of the country. Unless when you move, you have recently retired, or you had recently been separated from your job and you have ample amount of time, usually your routine is going to be very similar. Or unless you are looking for your next opportunity, you're in between positions, you're in between jobs because you don't have the opportunity to work remote, but you're looking to work locally in the community here in Colombia, then it may be a little different for you. But let's think about morning routines. So morning routines here with our families are, for me in my household, we wake up. I need to get up before the children get up routine. And I don't quite have that yet. My routine starts after them. It's not consistent. My routine is sometimes when the kids are up, before they're up, but they vary when they wake up. So that's why. And when they wake up too early, it's like, let's just go ahead and get our day started. And so we get them ready. We have breakfast at home. I don't believe, for me, in my household, I like to have breakfast at home. I like for them to eat before I leave, sending them out to school. Even though they provide breakfast at school, I just so much rather know that they're nourished at home. And then we get them ready, get them prepared, send them out to school, and we go about our days. I do my daily routine. Usually it's meditation, and usually it's a workout or a run. So I've been pretty good with my workout regimen. I'm feeling really good in my body. So that's usually my husband and I routine. And then we get into work. We get into our respective works. We work from home, both of us. And so our day is working from home until we pick up the little ones. And it is a slower pace. And I did an interview recently, and they were just asking what the slower pace is. I have my girls' school, which is 3-minute walk from the house. So I can always go over there when I want to. If I want to take a break in my day, go to the park. If I want to take a nap, which I don't do often, but I know that I can. I work from home. I create my own schedule, so I can do the things that I feel is necessary, especially for my body, and listening to my body and listening to the birds outside and just really feeling the breeze of the air on my skin and through my hair and through my toes and taking it all in. I feel like that is something I've always enjoyed, even living in the States. But I feel that the programming that I was under didn't allow me to slow down enough to cherish those things. Like, I really enjoy listening to the birds in the morning. And so now my girls, they're like, what's that sound? What's that sound? And so now I'm more alert at the little things, even like the mundane things, like the trash man coming by. It's like, oh, it's the trash man coming by. In my programmed mind in the States, it's gotta get here, gotta get here, gotta get there. And there's so many things just on a daily basis that I would just ignore because of the mundaneness and the monotony, the grind of the day that I just didn't take in. And I have the opportunities to do that.
I definitely agree with you. My morning routine is basically, I still get woken up with an alarm clock because I have to. It's a little bit different than the States because we have to wake up early here. My son, I mentioned this in a previous recording. My kids go to school at 2 different times. My youngest son goes in the morning, so his school schedule is like 7, let's just say from 7 o'clock until 11:50. And then my oldest goes from like 12 until 5:15. So I have to do this twice, the morning, kind of a morning routine and then the afternoon routine, right? So I get an alarm clock, wakes me up because I have to wake up at 5:40. They get started early here in Medellin. They get started early with everything. So that's an adjustment for me because in the States, they didn't have to be at school until about maybe around 8-ish, you know, and then we drove them around the corner and dropped them off or drove them to daycare, you know, so it was a little bit more like I have more time. Just to say that.
More time in the morning to prepare.
So now get up.
But are you taking your boys to school now?
I have a car pick them up.
Okay.
So they have transportation. So let me just go over the morning. Wake up by alarm clock. Get my youngest son up, get him ready, you know, have him while he's getting ready, I'm cooking his breakfast so he can eat just the same way as you. Even though he can eat something at school, I don't like to let the kids eat without any food. So let him eat, get something to drink, make sure he gets some water in his system because, you know, kids don't like to drink water. So he will go. And then he's out the door. His car is here and he's off. You know, until he's ready to come home, I get back into the bed, do my little meditation prayer, you know, whatever I need to do until I'm ready to actually get up and get moving. Get up, get dressed. Usually now my oldest son is up. He knows how to make his own cereal and this and that. So he'll get some fruit cereal. He'll do his thing until I'm up and moving around. And then I'm kind of like doing a little bit of homeschooling with him because I still, even though they go to school here in Colombia, they go to a traditional Colombian school, all Spanish speaking. They still need to command reading, writing, and math. Well, math is universal, but reading, writing, and English. I want to make sure that's important. And I want them to make sure they're on top of their math. So I still do some homeschooling as well as working. So I'm kind of juggling in between. So my days can vary because if the nanny's here, we may have to go grocery shopping or run errands. So my days kind of fluctuate and change. However, I do create my own schedule as well. So I'm able to navigate that. But yeah, by the afternoon, we got to get lunch for my oldest son, get him out the door. By the time he's out the door, maybe no more than 20 minutes later, my youngest son is coming in. So it's like a rotation and we are constantly doing something, some exchange, something. But yeah, that's typically my day. And when everybody gets home, if we don't have football practice, we're when we have football practice, we're still gonna eat dinner, go to football practice, come home, and that's the night. They gotta get in showers, get in the bed. That's the day. Like it's done. And I know it sounds like that may be a lot, but the way it's structured is not, you know, like I guess I'm just used to the flow of things. And then again, the nanny helps. She's here 3 days a week. So she helps a lot. And I don't have to do as much as I used to do. So to your point, being able to take a breath, listen to the birds. First thing in the morning, I love it. Where I live now is much more quieter where I used to live, so I could really hear them now, or just be in my thoughts, just waking up. Well, not maybe just waking up. Let me say, when I get back into bed after the youngest son goes,
the re-wake up,
like a re-wake up. Then it's like just sitting in my thoughts, just thinking, just being quiet. My meditation, do whatever I want to do. That's what's happening. Yeah, so
that quieting and slowing down is pivotal no matter where you are. I think that for anybody who has the opportunity to recenter themselves and quiet down and slow down time, I feel like I find myself saying, man, I wish there was a pause button, watching my kids grow up so quickly. And I realize sometimes the pause button is just taking a deep breath and just taking it all in that moment. Just taking it all in that moment. And having that time, especially for yourself, to just collect your thoughts. And I know there's different modalities, there's different guided meditations, there's different priming. So that's something that I would do in the morning too. I either meditate, pray, or prime. I'm usually praying regardless, but there's some mornings where I'm doing my priming. If anybody who's familiar with Tony Robbins and the priming routine for in the morning that you do for like 10-15 minutes, that usually helps center yourself and get you grounded for your day. And the sounds, the sun kiss on my cheek, and the walks. Okay, so let's talk about this 3-minute walk to school.
Okay.
So we walk 3 minutes to drop the kids off at school, but it's so beautiful. Sometimes we have the stroller, and lately we haven't had a stroller. We both, the fact that we can both walk our kids to school. Like one day I just had to take that in, and I'm walking behind my 2 children and my husband, and like, man, this is a beautiful thing to be able to just walk 3 minutes away. But in this 3 minutes every day, we're building a routine, a fun moment. The kids love it. They're the little one is trying to keep up with the bigger one, and look at this flower, look at this butterfly. I mean, things that we take for granted. You get in the car, we gotta get to school, school. But just really taking it in and being the example that to show them to also take it in and not rush and be like, oh yeah, you see that butterfly? Oh yeah, you see that whatever it is, a lizard, whatever it is that they are finding intriguing in that moment, the bush with the thorns on it, whatever it is, it's a beautiful thing. And I didn't realize how beautiful of a thing it was until I sit back and realize, if I were back home, I don't think we would have this opportunity. Not to say that we wouldn't, but I don't, living in a metropolitan city that I used to live in, I don't know that this opportunity would have been as available, or the school would have even been as close to walk them to school. And even seeing our neighbors, like the neighbors every day, the at the bodegas, the cafes that we walk by, which is not a lot, but they see us, they know us, they wave. It definitely feels very communal here.
I think in the States, we would get those moments, but it would be like you have to go somewhere to do it. Like maybe you go to a botanical garden and see the flowers, or go to a butterfly house. You know what I mean? Like you had to go and physically do something in order just to experience that nature that is normally here every single day, that we get to have for free with no problem. I think the other joy I get though is because you mentioned this earlier. Opening up my windows and getting that fresh air and that cool breeze coming through in the mornings, where that air is just so crisp. Because I do remember in the States, I used to love to walk, and I still love to walk, but I would love to get up first thing in the morning, and I would love to go walk when the air is still fresh and crisp and it's still quiet. So like just to be able to open the windows and the doors up and the patios and just let all this light and air and everything just flow through. It's like, oh yeah, that's peaceful as well. That helps like start the day in a grounding moment as well. So I do cherish those things. And I have noticed that I have slowed down. Like I'm much more patient than I used to be in the States. I mean, I know I still can work a little bit harder, a little bit more, but I am way more flexible, way more patient, way more like, all right, this is what it is. Let's roll with it. Because that's how you have to be here in Colombia, period. You have to be flexible. You have to be able to flow, because things are not going to be structured and work the way that you're used to having it work.
Yes. And so with those calmer mornings, they kind of set the stage for less overstimulation throughout your day. being able to kind of just take it in and process things a little differently, process a little slowly, so you're actually responding and not reacting to certain situations, even your children, that you're not reacting to them all the time. And I find myself slowing down and asking myself questions, and even asking, does this serve me, and does this serve my child in how I'm wanting to respond or react? Because sometimes we react, but the environment, I think, also plays a part into that. When you have a slower environment, a slower pace, a calmer environment, an opportunity to kind of take things in, it allows you to respond a little differently when it comes to your children. I'm finding that to be true. Even when we go visit the United States, we'll be leaving soon to visit back home, visit family and friends and what have you. And I find myself, even with the stimulation, there's a difference. And so sometimes I'm like, okay, I have to very intentionally, when I'm back home, make sure that I'm wiring this into my day, so that I can still keep the center nucleus of centering myself and my family, so that when wherever we go, because mamas are like the heartbeat, everybody's gonna feed off the energy of the mom. Not to say that they don't on the fathers as well, because fathers are pillars too. But energetically, if you can kind of make sure that emotional intelligence is high and you're mellowing out and re-regulating, recentering yourself, it makes for calmer responses to our children, as well as being open to hear what they're saying and what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And and that leads into like even the children's happiness.
Definitely. Because I can say, being here, I listen to them more. You know what I mean? When they're expressing something about something that bothers them, I take a pause and really listen more than I used to. I think that's a big deal, because I take into account that we are in a different culture, in a different language. Something could have happened that they did not understand, or they could have done something that, they didn't know was maybe offensive or not, or who knows, like, we're just in a different culture. So when they're telling me something, I have to listen, because I have to now navigate, okay, is this something that, you might have misunderstood?
Right.
Or is this something that they misunderstood? Is this something that's just cultural? Is this is it really as bad as what you're trying to tell me? Or, or is it something that you may be being a little dramatic over? There's definitely been times where my son has come in, the oldest one, come in and tell me something happened at school and blah, blah, blah. And then I got to probe and ask questions. Like, okay, so what happened? What part did you play in it? What, did you tell the teacher? Like, I have to really step back and ask those questions, get a better understanding before I can respond and provide any type of advice.
And that's key, because I think that also makes for a great experience, or better experience, hopefully, for the children, where if we're regulated, if we're centered, they feel heard, they feel seen, they feel valued. They also feel like they can regulate themselves by the example that we set. And that all feeds into their happiness. That all feeds into whether or not this is going to be a good space for them, no matter where you go abroad. Making sure that the environment is not suitable just for you as a parent, but it's going to be suitable for your children. I find that, and I'm always curious about this particular demographic, and I think maybe we can expand and do a segment on this, but teenagers, for parents who are deciding to leave and move out of the country with teenagers, I feel like they're more susceptible to depression and stressors, because of, and this is even if you decide to move to another state. It doesn't have anything to do with being abroad, but when you then factor in culture shock, another language, all of that compounds on the typical stressors of a teenager may have. And so it's already hard to move, within a country. So just keep that in mind. Is this a suitable city, place, environment, rural area, wherever it is this suitable for not just me. I know what I need and I feel like I want as an adult, but is this going to be conducive to what my family needs?
Yeah.
And it gets a little more intricate the more family members you have, because everybody has different needs
And they have their own personalities.
So it may not fit 100% for every family member, but what is going to be a good fit for the majority of our needs as a family unit? That's the question I think families need to ask about moving abroad, and understanding the daily routine going from place to place. The daily routine within wherever you decide to move to.
Oh yeah, and I know for like myself, I came by myself first to Medellin to check it out because I had never been here. So I wanted to see for myself how I felt about it.
Mhm.
Once I felt good about it, I waited until the summer, and then I brought the kids and the family to see how they felt about it. And they're still young; they're not teenagers. So just like getting an idea, because it was really important to me for them to be happy as well. Like, this is not just me, because I have to, when they're unhappy, I got to deal with that too, basically, is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was really important to see, okay, what activities do they have here for them, or do they have sports, are they going to be okay, just all of the things that you got to think about. So
Mhm.
I would definitely, if you're able to, scout out the place that you're interested in. Not only go online and look at videos like ours, or go do your research and use AI, do all of the things before you go.
Right.
You got to put your feet on the ground if possible, to really check it out and see if it's a good place for you. And if you cannot scout it out with your family, I would definitely say have enough money in savings, reserves, or whatever, so that if it's not working out, if you can easily move to another country or go back to your home country. You can have options. You're not stuck in whatever place you initially choose. So I just want to kind of put that out there.
And I think even with that plan, there should be a cutoff time.
Yeah.
Like, there's a time frame like that you discuss with your partner. How long are we willing to try this place out?
Yeah.
And see if this is a good fit for us. And if that may be 6 months, it may be a year. That's going to determine that decision is also going to be determined by the visa requirements of that country, because maybe you can only stay for 90 days or you can only stay for 6 months. So that's also going to be important with you doing the research on how long can we stay in this country before doing the visa process, and understanding that might be your trial period for that temporary tourist visa time.
Yeah. So let's talk about, we're going to go through some of the daily life things that you may experience here. For one, anybody's watching, you cannot work in another country unless you have a work permit or work visa from that country, like from a company that's established in that country, and you are granted a work visa. Same as the United States. That shouldn't be, well, and I don't know if everybody knows that, but that shouldn't be new. However, people don't normally understand, especially people who don't travel. They don't know that you cannot work in the country that you are relocating to. So you have to have your own source of income, whether that's a remote job or a business that you do remotely, whatever it is, or investments that pay you,
a pension, a retirement,
whatever that may be. It has to come from outside of your country that you're living in when you move abroad. And it has to be enough to sustain you, because if you're applying for a visa, you have to show your financial information, and they want to make sure you make whatever their requirement is for you and your family. So a lot of times you have to not only qualify for yourself, you have to have an additional amount per family member that you make sure that you can get that visa. So, so that's just like one thing I just want to throw out there. So when you hear me talk about working, understand it's remote work or business or something like that. So of course we're talking about getting the kids off to school, starting our work days, because we both have remote jobs and remote businesses. We do more than one thing, which is good to have more than one source of income, no matter where you are, because you never know what can happen. And you want to always make sure you have something else to fall back on, because again, how else are you gonna make money? You can't make money where you are in your new country. There are a lot of cafes and co-working spaces, and I know Jana and her husband love to do this. I don't do it as much unless I'm meeting up with Jana.
Yeah.
I would probably do it a little bit more in the future. But talk about the cafes and the workspaces, because there's a ton here.
There's a ton of places.
Even in the malls. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
Even in the malls, they have like spaces where the internet is available. You could just sit down and co-work. And I think it's been in every mall that I've seen, and there are a lot of malls here. But go ahead.
There are a lot of nice malls here too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a lot of cafes here, a lot of co-working places here. There's a lot of co-living places that allow people to go and co-work. And co-living is like a communal living place. Think of like dormitory style, like back when you were in college, but you have your own private area, your own private room. There's communal places like the kitchen that you share and like entertainment space, but you do have your own bathrooms and stuff like that. But some of the co-living places here will have an opportunity for people in the public to go co-work there. You can meet a lot of cool people there, especially other foreigners. But I like the local places. I'm not gonna lie, it's something about the local feel here, the local vibes. I love a good local cafe. I like to get me a nice tea, sometimes a cappuccino, and sit and just observe and again, the views are so beautiful here. I don't think I've scratched a percentage of all of the co-working places there are here because the city is so big. I mean, you can pass so many different places, but there are some that are known for foreigners to go to. I won't give you all names because it's the beauty of finding them yourself. It's so cool. And then there's also groups like co-working groups that if you want to co-work with other professionals, some people just they don't like the cubicle style. They don't want to be confined to an office all the time, but sometimes you just need that channel in, focus in day, and you know that knowing somebody is working alongside you, that helps keep you motivated. You might do some Pomodoro sprints for the day where you work for 25 minutes, you stop for 5 minutes and, kind of converse. I kind of had a day like that yesterday. But there's an abundance of that here. There are a lot of digital nomads here. There's a lot of people who work remote, and the cafes are just abundant around the city where you have good food. You have menu al dia, which is the menu for the day, which are about, depending on where you are, what side of town you are, and what you order, they can be anywhere from 16 pesos to 28 pesos a day. Colombian pesos, which is like $4 to, I don't know, $15 a day. But on average, you're probably looking at about $6 to $8 for a plate. And you want to give them a preview of this plate? Because I know
because you know what? I just got a menu del dia before we left to go to the States.
Okay.
Because I was like, okay, I'm not going to the grocery store. We need food for today, and that's it.
What did you have?
Okay.
For this, so, and how much was it?
All four of us. So that's me, 2 kids, and my nanny. I took us all to a restaurant from Menu del Dia. That gave us a soup. We had beef. So we had a cut of beef, like a steak cut of beef, not a bone-in steak, but like a thin cut of beef. We had rice, we had plantains, we had salad, and then we had our drinks. I want to say that one because it was a pretty decent restaurant. I want to say it was about 25,000 pesos per person.
Okay.
For the meal, and then the juices were extra. But I've been.
They didn't come. They usually come with.
Yeah, I was
juice.
about to say.
Okay.
I've been to Menu del Dias where it comes with the juice and a dessert, and it's 25,000 pesos. So it really does depend on where you go. Mm-hmm. But it's still reasonable.
But the mom and pop places, they're gonna be a little more reasonable. You might pay 18,000 pesos.
Yep.
I know where we go by my house is about 21 pesos, 21 Colombian pesos a day, and that's like really inexpensive.
And actually, what I did was, because I knew I didn't want to cook dinner, I ordered extra Menu del Dias to go, like 2 extra meals for just me and the kids. And that was dinner. And so, you have your options. We had beef for lunch. So for dinner, I told them to give us chicken, and that's what they did. And so we had a whole meal that night. I didn't have to worry about anything. I even had some left over. I was like, I'm going to put it in the freezer.
Yep. A lot of times you'll have it left over. Those plates they're not skimpy on the plates.
Yeah, they're
not skimpy on the plates. I had the other day, I had a trucha, which is a whitefish. There's a whitefish, rice. I hope we're not making y'all hungry. Rice, a bowl of soup, a bowl of chicken soup. It was ajiaco soup. A little salad, arepa.
Oh yeah.
And a juice that went with that. And I believe that was about 21 pesos. So to convert that, that's about a little over $5. Not quite $6. I don't even think it's $5.50, but the current conversion rate, it's a little over $5 for all of that. And a lot of times you'll have some to go home with.
It's plenty of food to eat, because with the kids, I just get one meal and I split it between the two of them, and they still may have some.
And that's
left.
Boys. You got boys,
and they'll still have some left. So those are types of things like you can get, and it's very, very cost effective, especially if you have a large family. Like those are things that you can get, and that's just they only have it during the lunchtime period. So that's what you do. Outdoor lifestyle.
Well, before we get to the outdoor lifestyle, I want to talk too, because there's some differences, but like we're talking about the cafes and we're talking about going out to be able to co-work, but even taking it inside your home, if you have someone who's a nanny who cleans or cook for you, because we do have a cleaner. We haven't used her recently, but we were having a cleaner that was quite frequently who she would clean and cook for us. And just to free up that mental space of not being able to have to clean and not being able to cook all the time, or at least 2-3 times a week, she'll meal prep for us. And meal prep for us for the week. So maybe we do go co-work at one of these cafes for the day, and then we come home to a meal, like a couple of meals that are already cooked for us for the week. It helps alleviate some of the stress of working parents who have to work, who, especially working parents back in the States, who not only are you working, you're doing all these activities with the kids, but you're commuting a lot more than what I think we have to experience here. And so that cuts off any time that you can get the hired help. It frees up and it gives you leverage in your schedule and your time to spend more time with your family. And I think that's the value and the importance of being able to find that balance and be able to find that peace wherever you are.
And it's cost effective help. Like it's very, very affordable to get help within your home. Just yesterday I was talking to John, and we actually had lunch today. I'm changing how I eat. So I asked my nanny to cook vegetarian meals. I provided the recipe and all of the things. She cooked me 2 meals, and she's only right now, because the kids are not here at this moment. They're visiting family in the States. So at this moment, she's only coming once a week. But I made sure that I have food to eat for most of this week. So she cooked those 2 meals, and that's going to last me a good 4 or 5 days, switching between the two and then making my own little stuff for, breakfast or snacks or whatever. But it was a relief because I had just come from traveling. I came back to Colombia from the States the day before. So for her to wake up, she was already here. I mean, she's cleaning up, she's washing clothes, she's folding clothes she's in there cooking breakfast. I mean, by the time I came out from my shower and got dressed to sit at my desk, my breakfast was ready, and it's sitting down at my desk, and this is like, okay, let's get to work. I'm eating, I'm doing what I got to do. It just takes so much off of you when you have help. And again, I can't emphasize this too much. It's affordable.
Yes, it is.
Like, it is not crazy. It is nothing that's beyond your reach. You don't have to have a person in your house every single day. You may have them just once a week, depending on your family needs. You may have them a couple times a week. The most my nanny works is 3 times a week, and that's when all 3 of us are here. So, and I still am able to afford those things. So, I mean, I feel like that and alone is by itself is why I'm like, no, I don't want to go back, because I don't want to be stressed like I was, and overwhelmed and exhausted like I was.
And what I'm finding is, even to the people who are here that help with cleaning and who help with watching the children, they genuinely want to do it. They genuinely love to do it. They want to help. They're so helpful here, and they're so kind here. And if you are lucky to interview a cleaner or a nanny who can help with both at your home, I mean, the level of stress that will help alleviate for you and your family, and free up some of just that mental space is just priceless. It's really priceless.
And I think another part is we talked about slowing down. So we're not necessarily rushing to do all of the things. I remember being home and it's like, okay, the kids are at school. I have work to do. I got to get to the grocery store. So it's like always boom, boom. I got to hurry up. Let me stop at this time. I'm going to run to the store. I'm going to get back. I'm going to continue to work. I got to be here to go pick up the kids. Well, since everything is now here in Medellin is like convenient in our communities, is, you know, now it's like less of that rushing. I can walk to the local market. I got 2 markets. I'm on one street and I have a market on each end of my street. So if I need anything for food wise, I can, or even household items, I can run to the market really quick and run back really quick. They have playgrounds and parks. Now, all the parks aren't equal. We talked about that before, but we know the parks to go to that our children will enjoy.
Yes.
And they still aren't that far. We do have to hop in a car, but it's only like a 10-minute drive, you know?
When she says all the parks are not equal, I got to paint the picture for you. Think about going to like a desolate place in the backside of your city somewhere where it used to be vibrant and then it just kind of got ran down. There's some blighted houses there and what have you. And there's a little park that you know you're not going to take your children to. Those are kind of parks you'll find here. But then there's a beauty in like this, because you also have a very, very polar opposite experience of finding these complex and these sports complex centers that have like not only the playgrounds, they have the pools, they have the tennis courts, they have the basketball courts, and they're very, very elaborate and vibrant, with life and livelihood and people there and community there. And so there's just some opposites on what you can experience with the types of parks, public parks you'll find here.
I'm gonna paint you a clear picture. If you are probably 40 and above, remember the parks from the 80s and the early 90s where it was metal slides you got burned on. They may have painted them and the paint chipping off or it's rusted.
Yes.
That's what we talking about. Where you like these days, you like, no, I know I played on that as a kid.
Yes.
But I'm not gonna let my kids play
on
it.
It made us strong.
Yeah, that boosted our immune system. And I'm sure it's doing the same for some of the kids that play on them now. But no, thank you. But yeah, like just being able to do that. And there's always a green space in the neighborhood. Like even right now, I could walk up the street and there's a green space. Now it's not a playground, but it's a green space where people will go sit down, chill out, you know, just get together. I can also let's talk about the culture in the neighborhood.
Okay.
Because I know let me think, because where I live now, definitely in the evenings, the neighbors are out. You can hear them talking to each other. Even early in the mornings, the older people are walking, so you can hear them greeting each other. And it's very kind of community oriented. You know, they know each other.
Hey, neighbor.
When you go to the corner stores, they know. You know, the kids, they know. Like, so I appreciate that. You'll also often be at home and all of a sudden you'll hear music and there'll be somebody outside singing with a speaker and a microphone.
Oh yes.
Or a group of people. You
know. The mariachi bands. Have you heard the mariachi bands?
Yes, I got a video of it. So it's just like you'll just be randomly sitting in your house and then all of a sudden it's alive. It's a musical.
Have you seen the parades though? Have you seen the parades?
I have not seen the parades.
So on my street, where I lived before and now. So one thing about Colombia is the people gonna celebrate. There are so many holidays here. There are so many Catholic holidays here. They're going to celebrate. And they have parades. They have little community parades, usually by the local churches here. And they do these local, and sometimes they'll have like a figurine on a cross or the Virgin Mary, the Virgin so-and-so. And they will have them and they'll parade, and there's always a day that's in observance that they're celebrating, and they'll usually share that with anybody who's there to watch the parade. But yeah, there's the parades that walk through the neighborhoods too.
I've heard of them. I guess I've just never.
I got some videos.
Okay,
yeah,
I've definitely heard of them though.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's just the energy. The energy is different here. I was also telling Johnny when I went to the States that I felt like it was very calm. It was very, you know, at least where in my city, it was very quiet, which is not normal at all. It was very interesting to me because it's warming up outside. I live in the Midwest, so you know it gets cold. When it warms up outside, people are outside. They are outside because they're happy they can finally get outside. But when I went, it was not like that. And I was trying to figure out, is there a shift in the dynamic there, or have I gotten used to all of the liveliness of Medellin and all of the energy, you know, the vibes where you can be like, okay, you know, they'll be in the street salsa, or you go to the park and they like, have I gotten used to that to now that's my new norm? And so now when I go back home, I'm like, why is it so dead? Why is it so quiet? Why is it so, you know?
And you know what, that's a good point. You make me think about, like, even in the communities that I've lived in, I always make it a point personally. This is me personally. I always make it a point to know who my local banker is, to know who my local grocer is, to like by name.
Yeah.
Like, and I lived in big cities, but I can also speak to living in communities where you just wave at your neighbor. You don't know their name. You don't like, you see their kids, but you just wave, but there isn't like that
connection.
There's a missing piece.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like back in the day when our grandparents used to sit outside and on the porch, and they knew that was so-and-so's kid, or they sat outside the garage, because depending on where you are, you either on the stoop on the porch or sitting outside the garage area, and you know the people in the community. And I feel like we've gotten so individualistic in our current society in the United States that we're okay with the wave, hi, and goodbye, and not really making relation, which is really, really important, especially right now. I don't care who's on whatever views that they have. It's still really important to know your neighbors. You need to know them well enough to know if you like them or if you don't. A lot of times we don't even know if we like our neighbors or not, other than they walking on our grass, they let their dog poop on our grass. You make a judgment off that. But if something were to happen and like there's a big blackout again, mutual aid is important. Can you collaborate with your neighbors and get the resources that you need to be functioning within your own just neighborhood? And I think here, like, I know my neighbors. I know my area, and they know me. And if they don't see me for a little bit, hey, where were you? You know, they're used to seeing me. They look out for me. And so you're talking about, so we're going to combine this a little bit, because we were talking about nightlife, how you hear the people at night, that it comes alive at night.
Or even not at night. It's during the day too. I'm talking about in general.
Yes.
Not at night, because I'm not out at night.
Yes. But you hear, but
I can hear. Yes.
You hear.
Like at night, it's a difference. At night, it's more of, you can hear the salsa dance, the music. During the day, you'll hear more of the people, the community, the talk, you know, them being social with each other. It reminds me when I was little. I always tell people, being here is almost like stepping back in time when it comes to the social and emotional part of life. Not the infrastructure, because it is updated. You know, it's good here infrastructure wise. But when we talk about, to your point, our grandparents, I remember I stayed at my grandparents' house all the time. Our whole block knew each other. Everybody knew each other. And it's like that here. They know you. And even in my previous apartment, I couldn't speak the language, but I knew people in the neighborhood. They knew us. The security guards knew us. They would speak, and then, you know, the kids would speak. And the restaurants, they knew us, which was a little difficult when I moved, because I was like, we finally got established in the community and we leaving, you know, now we got to do this again, you know. But you know, it is what it is. But I could tell here, even though I haven't been here that long, but I can hear it, I can see it. People are definitely communicating, talking to each other, stopping to have conversations as they walk down the street
with their dogs. Because they have their dogs.
They have their dogs. But yeah, it's a difference, and I love the vibe of that. I love the energy. Not to say that I'm like trying to talk to everybody in my neighborhood. However, I do appreciate it. It does make me feel a sense of comfort and safety, really.
And safety too. And I was gonna merge that the like nightlife plus the parks, because the parks come alive at night too.
Yeah, the parks get the popping at night.
I'll be outside during the day. I haven't been outside at night too much, but I've been hearing about this park culture at night where like, okay, Parque del Rio is a really big, really nice park here in the central part of Medellin, and there's salsa dancing, there's dance lessons, there's picnic areas, there's restaurants out there, there's kind of a little bit of everything. There's a lot of people out there walking their dogs, there's birthday parties that are happening there, and I'm hearing like it comes to life at night, especially, well, I know about the salsa classes and the bachata classes that they have at night. They're teaching people how to salsa, and it's lively. It's a place where people go to hang out, and it's not like stay away from that park at night because something can happen. It's dangerous. It's lively. It's full of life. It's full of people. And I say that because people are less likely to do things because there's a lot of eyes around. But still, don't let that drop your guard down. Still be on your P's and Q's and be vigilant. But it's lively, and it's a good cultured environment at night with all this vibrancy and this liveliness at night. You see the people on the bikes, the skateboards, the rollerblades, all in this park. It's just a beautiful thing.
And I think that happens at the sports complexes as well. So even though I'm not out at night, the particular park that my kids love to go to, we have been there until, the night fall.
Yes.
And I can see, people are still out there full-fledged playing sports and lifting weights, and there's little snack stands where they can get food and drinks, and it's alive. And it was like that in Panama too. And that was my first experience seeing this. Now in Panama, they have a lot of nice parks for kids, a lot of nice parks for kids. But at night, oh my gosh, the parks were filled with families.
Really?
I mean, packed.
Okay.
And I mean, it was just like a wonderful experience for my children, because then I got to see them play like I used to play when I was little.
Because we outside.
Because we was outside.
We outside.
And now they have the opportunity to be outside. And then you should have just seen it. I had to do a video. Like, they were just so excited. We went outside in the States. There were parks we went to, but there were hardly ever any kids there.
That's so...
It was always empty, or my kids would be maybe the only ones.
But isn't that kind of eerie to especially how we grew up playing in parks, and it would be packed. I remember being in California growing up and going to, I forget the name of the park, but it was a really popular park down in the Bay Area. And it was just so many kids there. Like there was a slide that we had to get up, concrete slide, girl. We talking about the metal ones. It was a concrete slide, and you had to get the cardboard to slide down to slide. But there was a line. You had to wait girl, I got a black eye on that slide one time. But you had to now you drive by the parks and you barely see, especially you might see little kids. But the age group of I want to say 9 to 14, 15, those kids, I don't really see those kids in the parks like they used to, because you know where they are?
Where?
At home.
Oh yeah.
On their electronic devices. On what is it? Roblox
and Minecraft. And all those things. Yeah.
TikTok. I mean, if you do see them at a park, it's probably with their phone. They're not detached from their devices. And so to even have that experience, knowing what it was like for us growing up, going to the parks and having such a good time, and now being able to kind of recreate that with our families and see we can still play in the parks, not just by ourselves, but with other families.
And they make friends really quickly, because there's other kids out there that just like us when we were little. When you see a kid, you don't know them, but you're going to play. That is exactly what they're doing. And I love that experience for them, because it helps them socially. They're already in a place where, now they speak Spanish, or Bryson speaks more, but they they can get by. But you're in a place where it's not your fluent language,
right?
So you don't have as many friends. You're new, so you don't have friends you grew up with or went to school with. So you're always the new person. So to be able to come into an environment and then have kids everywhere you just play with and play hard with, that's a great thing. So,
which leads me to this. I want to pose a question to the people who are here today watching this, whether it's a replay or whatnot. would a slower paced lifestyle for you and your family help you emotionally?
Yeah.
Would it help? Or would what would it look like for you to maybe recreate some of the nostalgic childhood things you used to do, but now with your children? Would that even help you develop a better relationship with your children? And so think about these things, and then also consider, and if you want to answer, go ahead and answer in the comments for us too. But also understanding that daily life abroad also comes with emotional adjustments that people don't always talk about. And so we're going to get into that part of the segment, is like, what are some of the emotional implications of moving abroad? I will speak personally. I know for me, one of my biggest things, I was pregnant. And I have a very solid nuclear unit and circle back home. I have a solid, I know I can call on this person for this. Not that I ever really need to, but if I needed to, I knew I could call on people. So community it's always been important to me. But now going into motherhood, community for me seemed like it was even more important. So even that separation anxiety of knowing that I wouldn't have my family around was really something emotionally I had to unpack. I had to unpack. And one of the things that helped me unpack, I mean, and it took me a while, because after I had my first daughter, soon after that, they're 15 months apart, I had my second daughter. So I was really inside. I was at home a lot. I was being a new mom for quite some time. So I didn't have the capacity to try to create community. It wasn't until we moved from that country, Mexico, to here, to Colombia, that and I did have community. I have a really nice community in Mexico, but I felt like I wasn't able to really kind of build and add on that as an adult and an enriching community until moving here in Colombia. And to me, that's really, really important, is making sure that you have a village no matter where you are, because parenting can be tough and it can be rough. And sometimes we just need a mental break, say, hey, who can I call on? Because I just need somebody to kind of stay with my kids for like an hour while I just take a walk at the park by myself, not with them this time, by myself. And so those are some things, and especially for single parents, I think is really important to have that thought process going on. Like, okay, if I move, how do I want to be intentional about creating community? And then what kind of community am I looking to attract? What am I looking at, and what do I want to have, not only for myself, but around my children as well?
Definitely. And before we continue about community, if you guys are enjoying this conversation, if it's helping you out, if it's helping you see a different way of life for you and your family, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you continue to watch our lives every Friday. Watch our real stories about moving abroad, especially here in Medellin. Now, let's get back to community.
Yes.
Because that was one thing that helped me make my decision to move here.
Okay.
So let me kind of share my experience as far as the emotional and community side and making that whole transition. When I came to check it out by myself, check the city out by myself, and I'm talking about Medellin, I didn't know anybody. I did not know anybody.
Wow.
But I was with a relocation tour. So through that tour, I was able to tap into the community that was here and get some WhatsApp groups and I was able to attend some events with some of the people and, that they had organized and just be able to say, okay, now when I go back, I can put a face with a name. If I see somebody out, or I can reach out to somebody to say, hey, can you help me with this? Or can you tell me where to find this? Like, that was big. And once I saw how good and enriched the community is, it's not perfect. I mean, I'm talking about the expat community, or what I maybe should be calling as immigrants, because
we're
immigrants. What I find in the community is that there are a lot of resources, a lot of people, whether they're still here or not, that, it doesn't matter. People will chime in, and if you put a question out there, they'll help you, or you could just simply search in the WhatsApp groups because it's probably been asked before. So normally what I would do is just search in the group, see if I can find the answer. And if I can't, then I'll ask the question in the group. But the fact that there were so many different communities that I could tap into, and easily, if I wanted to, go out, hang out with people, new people, do a language exchange, meet up with other families with children and have a play date, meet up with adults and have some adult time. Like, there's a variety of foodies group, you know, about medical group, parents group. Like, there are so many different groups out here that it's easy to get connected and get into community if you are open to participating. You got to be open to that. I did not go out as much as I do here in the States. I was not as open as I am here to meeting new people, but now I'm very much so more open. So having community is going to help you emotionally like 1,000 times. I feel like having people just to talk to about your experience, because they've been through it too. They can relate. You know, a lot of people can't relate to what you're talking about when they're still in the States and you're somewhere else. They don't understand that lifestyle. Just like some of you may not understand what we're talking about now because you haven't had the experience yet. So you can't have those conversations with different people. But yeah, go ahead. I'm stopping.
I was just about to say that's really important. You're talking about the community and connecting with other foreigners who know the culture and the history back. I mean, you might be like, I mean, you and I are from completely different parts of the United States, but there is a cultural unison that we have because we're both from the United States. And with that, like, there's a cookout that, you know, we about to be outside here and there's a holiday coming up here in a few days and we're going to have a cookout, you know, like back home style cookout with the barbecue and the slabs on the pits and all of that. And so it feels good to know that you can still have like that community and celebrate and have a sense of home without being at home. And so that's why it's important to kind of get into these communities. But what I like to tell people is tap into the communities and the groups that you think you're interested in and get a feel for them and see if they're aligned, because everything won't be aligned for you. And keep asking around and asking the questions to get your tribe and find your nucleus. And if there is a group or something that you are looking for in the community that doesn't exist, create it. Create it, because there's so many people who are looking for different things. I just found out, like, there's an open mic, girl. I love open mics. I love open mics, and have an opportunity. There's an open mic coming up. This is not even from an American. This is a Canadian. A Canadian who's throwing a open mic event here soon. And it's like, oh, okay. So now we have, not to say that the locals don't have a version of that here. I haven't heard of it yet though. So I'm excited to experience this, you know, here in the city.
So yes, that is one thing, but you were hinting, or you mentioned culture, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about culture shock. I don't know if everybody knows what that is.
Yeah, sure.
And that you can experience it. So culture shock is basically when you move to a new environment. It does not even have to be a new country. You move to a new environment that's different from the environment you're used to, your culture you're used to, and you don't always respond positively. Right. And it can come out in different ways. It can come out as depression. It can, you know, you can say, I don't want to go nowhere. I don't want to do nothing. I just want to see, you know, just being in the house. It can come out as anger, or it can come out as complaining about how that place does different things. It's not what you're used to. Like, it comes out in a variety of ways. And if you don't know what it is, you may not be able to check yourself on it. Right. So we want to make sure that you can go look it up, go do your own, you know, research, get the definition that you need to get to make sure you understand. But I gave you the gist of what it is. And you have to make sure you have it intact. But having community can check that. You know, having people to talk to can help with that culture shock. Having people to assist you when, you know, somebody you can ask those questions to can make things go so much smoother, where you don't feel isolated, you don't feel lonely, you don't feel like you're alone. You may not miss your family as much or your friends as much because you now have a community around you and understand you're building a new life.
Right.
No matter where you are, whether that's moving to another city, another state, another country, you're building a new life. And you got to go through those growing pains to get to the other side, to where you're now feeling, whoo, I'm comfortable. I know what to do, and move forward.
Yeah. And the language barrier could be part of a culture shock. Being seen as a foreigner could be part of a culture shock. Being stared at. Having American superficial views can be part of a culture shock. We talk about culture shock, but like I feel like there's an addition to that I didn't think about till now, but like privilege and luxury shock. What I mean by that, not to say that these things do not exist here, but that you might not find them in as abundance as what you would back home in the States, like hot water.
Oh yeah. That's a basic in the United States.
It's like almost a non-negotiable, but sometimes like we have hot water in our house, but it's in our bathrooms. It's not in our sink.
Exactly.
It's not in our sink. And to me, so I'm boiling a lot of water because I like to do stuff in my sink with hot water. But let's say, okay, hot water, dishwashers, dryers, and washing machines and dryers. I'm not saying that they don't exist. They just might not be in as abundance. What else?
Or it's not automatic.
Yes,
you know,
you have to ask
a lot of times, you know, when we are in the States or maybe in Canada, you go into an apartment, your appliances are there. It's automatically, it has a dishwasher, your washer, your dryer. Like that's just the normal. Hot water is normal. Microwaves, normal. I moved into this place and didn't realize it didn't have a microwave till I got here. And I was like, well, that's a problem. We need a way to warm some stuff up. So I ended up having to go buy a toaster oven / air fryer, you know, to warm our food up because I, you know, wanted to get away from the microwave anyway. So, but that's an additional cost you may not have thought of. And, you know, these are things that we're used to having as conveniences.
Garbage disposal.
Have you
seen a garbage disposal here?
I've seen one.
Okay.
And that was in the Airbnb when we were here over the summer to scout it out.
It's not in abundance. Not to say you can't find it, but it's not in abundance.
It's not automatic. No.
So there's sometimes a privilege shock as well, because there's some things that you might AC. Okay, let's talk about it. AC is, you can find it. They do have it here, the centralized AC unit,
the split unit things, right?
Yes, the split unit, or the ones that you put on the wall in your house. I forget, the air cons. They're called the air cons. You use the remote for those. You can find them. Ceiling fans, you may not find those very often, but the reason why in this city particularly you won't find them, actually a heater. I haven't found a place that has a heater.
We don't need a heater though.
You don't need a heater. So built-in AC, built-in heater, you're not really going to find much of that here. And the reason is because of the way the weather is here. The weather is like spring year round. So you open your windows and get a nice breeze, you're fine. If you just get a nice little blanket and a comforter, you're fine because it doesn't get extreme cold or extreme heat here. But some people still need their fans, so they get oscillating fans.
Most people, we have fans though. That's pretty common to have a fan in your house, but not a ceiling fan.
But not a ceiling fan or an or an AC. Yes.
Yes. But most people still have the tower fan.
The tower fan or the but this is still a privilege.
Yeah.
Because some people, we talking about when we were
coming out,
we talking about those metal slides, you know, some people not used to, you know, these additional things you need to have to kind of make it your space feel like you. So just keep that in mind for some people who may need or feel like you need certain things. You would be surprised on how much you really don't need, and you find yourself adapting to new environments.
Yeah. So I'm saying we talked about emotions and culture shock. Doubts. Any doubts you wanna, or have there been any or doubts? Well, no, I'm saying regrets or doubts in regards to the way of life now in your daily routine versus what you had.
Yes. So for me, it's going to go back to community. So for me, I've had moments of doubts where like, man, do I really want to be, and I think this is a question you're asking, like, do I really want to continue to live abroad? Is it really serving me? What do I really need? And you and I were just having this conversation offline. And I think there have been some doubts that have, and especially in my new mom postpartum phase, when I didn't have the community I knew I would have living back home, I think there was some moments of doubt. But to be honest with you, those moments of doubt were so few and far in between. It's kind of like, that was definitely the good outweighed the bad on that one. Like the environment that I had, the life I was living, the pace, especially the pace that I was able to kind of slow down to outweighed the fact of the doubt that I may have. And plus, a part of that is quenched with the opportunities that I have to travel back home. So I get my fix with my community and my family every time that I go back home. I spend enough time with them, and I make sure that I'm very intentional on the time that I spend with my family and friends. That I mean, I'm still able to be in relation and build relation and be very intentional with my friendships and with my relationships. That I get recharged when I go back home and then return to my new home, my abroad home.
So would I guess I don't know how I'm trying to figure out how I want to say this. Like when I went home, we talked about this. When I went home, I talked about how there was just a sense of comfort, right? Because it's familiar. Yeah. It's
But it's the privileges. It's the privileges that we're used getting in your own car, and I mean, because we both have access to our vehicles back home. We walk here,
right? And I don't even have a car at home. I was in a rental car, but still, it was just the convenience of being able to drive. Period.
Right.
I guess I want to say that. How did moving how did it emotionally change you versus not physically? Because I know I have physical changes. Just I've lost weight from walking and eating fresh food and all that stuff. But emotionally, how has moving abroad helped you and your family?
I feel like I'm more present.
Okay.
I feel like I'm emotionally more present than I would be able to be back home. I think I would be more challenged, only because of if my demands back home were similar to how they were before I left, it would be very challenging for me to be emotionally present for my family.
Okay.
I will say that moving abroad doesn't take away from going through things emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, because all of those things can still exist. And I've had my ups and downs in my state of being, becoming a new mom, postpartum, all of that. But I think ultimately that level of being able to center myself, being able to regroup, being able to tap into some spiritual practices for myself, being able to do ceremonial practices, spiritual practices for myself to help me stay centered. I think all of that has helped me stay grounded in a place where it helps me to be more present. It helps me to be more present for myself. It helps me to be more present for the people around me, but especially for my family. I think it's helped me to be a little more present.
Okay.
Am I always present? No, I still have my moments.
Of course.
But the pace here allows me to do that.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I can say initially when I first got here with the kids, when we officially was like, okay, no, sorry, let me step back. When we came for the scouting with the kids
at the time, yeah.
Initially, like that first week or two, I think I may have been going through culture shock because I hated it.
Really?
I was like, did I make a mistake? Oh, I want to go back home because everything was just so difficult for me. Everything, it was so hard.
Was it mostly centered around the language though?
No, well, I don't know. I think that's part of it. But it was like challenges with getting food because I hadn't been here. So I wasn't quite sure how I've heard of how things work, but I hadn't had the experience, put it like that. So we land, we need food. Oh, how do I get food? Like, okay, I can order Rappi, but certain things you need to know what you're doing to get the food to you. Like, okay, is it at the guard station? Do I got to go get it? Do they bring it to my door? Like, it was just, or even just like, what do I order? I don't know. They have chicken, hamburgers and stuff, but I'm trying to order something that, is good, like not just junk. But in the end, it was like, look, we got to eat. So let me just order what I know I can order and figure this out. But it was just like that, grocery shopping, just the basic things that I had to do that I didn't know how to really do it. I knew where to go. I knew the stores, but I didn't know the language. Didn't know the money. It was just like, everything was just a challenge, a drain, and it may be like that for a lot of different people.
Yep.
Who initially
when they first get
when
here.
they first get here or get anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere where it's, you know, where, especially when you don't speak the language. It wasn't until I got a nanny, and that's what made me hurry up and get a nanny, because I was like trying to take care of the house, trying to figure everything out.
It's a lot.
Trying to entertain the kids, because, you know, they don't want to be confined. They're not apartment, where they weren't apartment kids. So now they're in this little apartment, trying to keep them engaged and entertained and get them out. Just everything, was trying to figure out all of that on my own. When I finally got a nanny, I was so relieved that I had that help. Just in the house and the food alone was like, oh, thank you. And then now they gave me some break, because I'm still also working. I only took like 1 week off from work.
Right.
So then it was like that next week I had to start working again on top of all of the other things
that you're
Like,
navigating.
this is a lot.
Can be, the transition period can be really rough. I think I'm sure I experienced a lot of what you're saying the same way, especially when we moved to Mexico. It was a little different because it was just myself and my husband. I was pregnant. But moving here with the children, the stressor, especially just trying to navigate getting food and getting everybody settled in.
Yes.
Like that initial transition, that first couple of weeks, this is my tip to anybody. If you can find a place that either a hotel, before you find your apartment, your Airbnb, but a hotel that has breakfast, that would take so much stress out of that initial transition. If you can find some Airbnbs, some Airbnb apartment style Airbnbs that have breakfast included, that's what we did. So for our first week, so that could be part of a relief of stress for us. When we transitioned here, we first moved, we were at the Marriott, and we had a hotel, and it had breakfast included. So that was one meal we don't have to worry about, especially first thing in the morning.
Right.
And then
with little kids.
And then we moved to an Airbnb/apartment style Airbnb, and they had, oh my gosh, they had really good breakfast, and they cleaned.
Okay.
So all of that helped. We came with the mindset, okay, we need to be able to free up some of these minute things. They're not minute, but they will help us so much. So we went into an Airbnb that they did daily cleaning.
Okay.
And it's reasonable too. They did daily cleaning and breakfast. And they gave you a sheet the night before, and you checked off what you wanted for breakfast, and they come knock on the door the next morning, and they would deliver your food to you.
Oh yeah. That would have been very
cool. Oh, yes.
I was just in an Airbnb in a location where I was like, I don't know what's around here. And it wasn't a walkable
area.
We were at the top of a hill. You can walk down the hill, but it wasn't like where we are now, where you can easily it's flat. You can go around the corner up one block, and it's right there. We had to actually walk a little bit of a distance and figure out our way to the area where the mall or where the stores or where whatever. So yeah, it was definitely more of a challenge. But again, I got past it, and many of you also will.
But I think that's a really good piece to kind of hone in on for that transition week or two. Either find a place with breakfast included, or hire a chef
or meal prep
plan that can help you with your meals, because that's one less thing, because it's already enough navigating a city, but now trying to figure out grocery stores and what to buy and how to buy, and things are a little different here, and if you don't speak the language, that's an extra complexity. So that's a really good tip. Not only put your feet in when you land soft land at a hotel, make sure it's breakfast included, or make sure you get somebody who can cook food for you.
Definitely.
Because that's going to help a lot.
Yes. So my question to you guys is, like, what is currently your biggest stressor in your daily life right now? And could you see your family living a slower lifestyle? And what would that look like? Like, write it down. You don't have to comment you don't have to put it in the comments or anything, but maybe just write it down for yourself. Like, because sometimes we just need to reflect on some things and take time to pause, which is another thing I've been able to do since I've been here. Just take time to pause, think, and reflect on like, why did this happen? Oh, this is this, like a lot of reflection has happened. And that happens to a lot of people when they get here too. Like you have that time to slow down, to think, to reflect, to grow. So think about that for yourself. And because that could be something that could help you make your decision if you even want to move abroad or not. If you feel like you can handle it, if your kids can handle it, you know, can you handle that daily life that looks a little bit different than what it looks like now?
Are you open to having a different daily life than what you have now? And out of what we shared today, like what to you is most intriguing about a day in the life in Medellin based off of what we shared? And I'm pretty sure if you speak to other foreigners here who are from the United States, they will share things and it'll be completely similar to what we say or completely different to what we say on how their daily lives are tracking and what they do on a daily basis. And it also is going to depend a lot around how old their children are too. So what is it? What intrigues you about the daily life of Medellin? And can you see yourself in that space?
Yeah, definitely. And also, if you want to maybe, and this is something, I don't know, we may need to add this to the 90-day checklist. We didn't talk about getting a place to stay with breakfast or anything. We may need to add that. However, if you want assistance with making your transition a little bit smoother, we do have the 90-day relocation checklist to Medellin. That link will be in the description of this video. So feel free, it's free. It is free. So just go ahead, click on it, and that can help you with your transition if you are making the decision to move to Medellin. And if you're not, it's still helpful for wherever you're moving to because you still have to pretty much follow some very similar steps.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anything else?
No, we've talked about the city, the daily life, the structure, our daily routine, morning routines, the afternoon routines, the activities with the children, the outdoors, a little bit of indoors.
Wait, I'm sorry. Let me pause you. Did we talk about the activities that the kids are in?
No, go ahead.
Okay, let's do it real quick.
Okay.
Mine are in football or what we call soccer. Yours are in swim
classes. Yes.
We've also taken robotics class that we may be getting into. We tested that out.
Okay.
It's a plethora. Anything you want to do. I've seen motorbikes for little kids, not big kids, little kids out there on like little, not with motorbikes or either the sports bikes. Sports bikes where they do the heels and this and that. They're getting trained on how to do it. Like if your kid wants to do anything related to, physical activity, mental, whatever, it's gonna be here somewhere because it's so family oriented.
So we're looking into Taekwondo next.
Okay.
So there's actually is right down the street from here. There's a Taekwondo place that
we may be looking into that too. Give me some information because we need that as well. I need swimming classes as well. So don't worry about your children having activities and things to do here. It's always something for them to do here.
The sports complex alone here. So there's a public sports center subscription place called Ender here that you could get your children into a plethora of sports. And when I say a plethora of sports, the complex has anything from cheer, dance, flaggers,
archery, anything,
basketball, soccer,
baseball,
gymnastics,
tennis,
all of these things. And you sign your kids up at a cost. And even the Berlin Park, if I'm not mistaken, the other sports complex that we're talking about, I think they have some free classes there. They do classes.
They do offer free classes. If you sign up and get registered, you definitely get stuff for free. But these sports complexes or the indoor sports, they're all around the city. So it's not just one location. If you live like in a different neighborhood, they'll probably have something closer to you. Yeah. But I wanted to make sure we mentioned that because we're talking about the daily life, and that's part of a lot of people's daily life. They want to make sure their children can still continue with the activities and sports that they were doing in the States or in Canada. So we just want to make sure you guys know that it is here. It is here. You just have to find it, do your research. But if you get into some of these WhatsApp groups, it's easy. The information is there for you, or you can ask the question. So just giving that tidbit before we wrap it up.
Yep.
So I want to make sure you guys know, because I have to think about this, that we're building a community here for families and for you to have a different life freedom and raise your children abroad. So make sure you subscribe to our lives. We are here every Friday, sometime during the day, you know, between 10 and 12-ish. We're here. We are mothers, so we have to be a little bit flexible with our schedules, but we are here on Fridays during the day. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like if this content was valuable for you and it helped you out.
Yes, and so that will wrap up today's segment about the day in the life of us as parents here in Medellin. And remember, we are Moms Beyond the Matrix, and we're here every Friday. We're happy you joined us today, and please subscribe and like and subscribe, whichever one you want to do.
Whatever you want to do. And if you have any questions or anything we did not cover, make sure you put it in the comments and we'll try our best to answer those questions if we have the answer or find the answer for you if we can. All right.
Follow us on social media at Mamas Beyond the Matrix on Instagram and Facebook.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
See you next week.
Bye.